welcome to the Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland, joined as always by my co-host and father, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today fame, and we've got a very special guest. We've got a golf-centric show this week with the Sanderson Farms Championship returning to Jackson. So we brought in our returning champion, Randy Watkins, local golf magnate, former PGA Tour player, former tournament director. You're pretty much the perfect person to have on, Randy, so we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is a great week. It's a week I have cherished since I was a little bitty boy, so I get excited. I can't wait to get out there this week.
Yeah, I've cherished it since I was a 15-year-old high school golfer at Hattiesburg High, and we heard this big PGA tournament was coming to Hattiesburg. $20,000 purse. Boy, that seemed like a lot of money back then.
It really did, and now last place might be $20,000.
Oh, the caddies are going to make more. The ones that, yeah. But first, we need to just go over a little bit of what happened this weekend, and none of it's really good.
Yeah, I started to write an entire column and read it on air about this losing streak that all of my sports teams are on. The one bright spot, of course, in Mississippi was Ole Miss, who was ranked 6th in the country going into their first real test, which to say they stumbled would be an understatement. 20-17 loss to Kentucky. I should say the Fighting Deion Walkers. The defensive line from Kentucky was so dominant. As starting with him, if you missed him, his name's Deion Walker. He's number 0. He wrecks seasons. He almost wrecked Georgia's. He did wreck the Rebels, at least early. So, kind of a disappointing loss.
Randy, did you go?
I did not go. I did watch the game, and you're right. Deion Walker was an absolute beast. But I think it's a reality check. I think there's some proof that maybe Ole Miss was a little overrated. But it's also further proof that when you play in the SEC, it really matters not who you're playing. You better come to play, and you better be prepared when you get there. And I'm not so sure that was the case Saturday.
Yeah. Plus, it's also evidence that Kentucky's pretty dadgum good. They
are.
They're really well coached, and the game went just the way they wanted it to. They kept the ball, kept Ole Miss off the field. Their quarterback's pretty good too. He's not Jackson Dart, but he's pretty good, and they're good up front on both sides of the ball. And now you go to South Carolina, the only team that's really like trounced Kentucky.
Exactly. There's not an easy game left. Not that there ever was once you get in the SEC lineup, but you can go on the road and lose. You can lose at home, just like you said. And I think, Rick, I don't know if you and I have talked about this before. I think Kentucky's done it right. They hired a really good football coach, let him build something, and hung in there with him during the lean years, and let him have some. You're going to have a 4-7 or a 5-6 year, and not jump the gun and fire and have to start over. And I think I think there's a real benefit to what he's been able to build, the consistency of a program. May not get you all the way to the top, but it sure makes you a really good football team.
Well, there were a lot of Kentucky people that wanted to get rid of him 3 or 4 years ago.
Sure.
His first game as Kentucky coach, Jay Hobson took Southern in there and beat them.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Wow.
But they just stuck with him, and you're right. He's a good football coach, and especially up front, they are a really good football team. So let's
Ole Miss 1 for 10 on third down. Got to get that cleaned up going into South Carolina. Thankfully, Southern Miss was off. The Eagles are 1-3. They host ULL this weekend. How you like their chances, Dad?
They're 11-point underdogs at home.
Yeah. Oh, you could stop right there. We don't even need to go any further. Mississippi State off this week after a tough game at Texas. Thought they showed a lot of fight, though.
I thought they played really well. I know what was the final? They lose by
35-12 or 35-13. But I thought they played good. I probably watched more of that game than I did the Ole Miss game. And I thought they played great. And I think, sort of like Stoops, I think Jeff Levy was able to coach that game the way he needed to keep that game competitive. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, I did too. I know the grandfather of the Texas quarterback was really impressed with the way State played. And I was really impressed with the way the grandfather's grandson played.
I was too.
Man.
I think that ain't going to be the last time we see that. It's just going to get better and better. Boy, he's got a lot of competitive spirit in him, doesn't he?
He does. And some of those deep throws.
Yeah, he looked pretty good on the deep ball. He was almost flawless in the first half, and it was a close game. To what Randy said, I think Mississippi State played the game they needed to play to keep it close. At the end of the day, they just didn't have enough bodies, and they can't. In the second half, they're just not going to have the legs to compete with a team like Texas. But I did think, with everything considered, starting the first-time starter at quarterback and everything, they played really, really well.
A true freshman who showed a lot of potential.
He sure did.
And correct me if it was a 10-point game in the fourth quarter.
I don't know when it got away from them.
It got away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I left very impressed with how well Mississippi State played based on how they played prior to that.
Yeah.
And how well Jeff Lebby coached that football game. And I left that very impressed.
So you saw, I know it was on all the national sports shows a couple weeks ago when Arch Manning got his first playing time, and he had a 67-yard touchdown run that reminded me so much of Archie. I couldn't believe it. The long stride, the speed, the cornerbacks and safeties trying to get the angle on him, and they couldn't. And I asked Archie, we talked on the phone the other day, I said, well, who's faster, you at 19 or Arch at 19? And he said, well, I think it'd pretty much be a dead heat. The difference is he weighs 50 more pounds than I did at 19.
That's unreal, really.
Well,
I can't how big he is.
Yeah, Archie was 175 pounds as a college sophomore. Arch is 225.
It's unbelievable.
Well, that's pretty much the difference in football players now and in
that's what I was going to say.
years ago.
Yeah, position by position, you can go all the way across the board, and there's 30 to 60 pounds difference in each position, I would think.
Yeah, it's nutrition and it's weight training, and it's unbelievable.
Fun to watch.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to the main event this week, Randy, and I was so excited when I saw the list of golfers that have committed to play in this year's Sanderson Farms Championship. If you're looking for a history of the tournament, Rick wrote a great piece on Mississippi Today this week that goes back to the beginning.
So good.
1968.
Yeah.
As only Rick can. But for just talking about this year's field, what an incredible field. I mean, guys that I never expected to see come through Jackson, Matt Kuchar. I mean, guys like that, and Ricky Fowler. I mean, people I've been watching my whole life. I think, especially for people my age, this is a really exciting field.
It's really good. I'm very impressed with Gary Woodland's here, and Brant Snedeker's here, and Webb Simpson is here. I think it's a great field. Every year you get some. Sergio won it just a few years back, and I never thought a guy like Sergio would play here. And then not only did he play, he won it in a stellar fashion. But again, the story is how good a field it is this time of year. How many guys are fighting for a job or for their career? That there's a lot of stories inside that field, including some of our Mississippians that are, we got 4 of those guys playing, the 4 card carrying members. There's a few others, but 4 card carrying Mississippians playing, and I think they're all exceptionally talented people. And I don't know if we've ever had, Rick, 4 Mississippians with full PGA Tour privileges playing at one time.
I don't think we ever have.
I don't think that's ever happened.
I mean, there's been lots of years we didn't have any.
That's correct. So I think that's a testament. Some of that is a testament to this tournament that helped spark the dreams of the young kids, the young people in Mississippi, myself included, because that's the first professional golf tournament I ever went to. My dad wanted to see Doug Sanders, and I wanted to see Chi-Chi. So,
I watched them both in Hattiesburg, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And we went to they weren't paired together, so we had to split up a little bit because we wanted to see Doug. He wanted to watch Doug, and I wanted to watch Chi-Chi. But a lot of that has transpired over the years, and a lot of this tournament has a lot to do with these 4 guys that are PGA Tour members. That's not to be underestimated.
I couldn't agree with you more. You played how many times in it was the Magnolia Classic then, right?
Yeah, 10 or 12 times between that and over the year. My first time, Robert Morgan was, as you know, was the king of executive directors of golf tournaments at the time. And when I won the National Junior Championship, he wrote me a letter inviting me to play the next spring as an amateur in the Pro-Am. So as a 16-year-old, I got to play in the Pro-Am, and I was paired with Lonnie Nielsen. Uh-huh. And you well remember Lonnie, who was a
big guy.
Great guy, journeyman tour player, but high achieving PGA professional, and then had a great career on the senior tour. But he couldn't have been better to me. But that helped spark my dream. That was the first time I'd ever been inside the ropes, at a professional tournament, and that continued. It pushed my dream further down the road. And my first time to play in it was 1984, and it's 10 or 12 times I played in it. And the year that Jim Gallagher beat Paul Azinger in a playoff, I think that was 85.
Yeah.
I finished tied for 5th. I think Bill Glasson and Russ Cochran were tied for 5th. So it's been a real important part of my life, and not just the playing part, but honored to have served as tournament director for 6 years. And that was awesome. And part of my mission was to help propel the dreams of young kids in Mississippi, just like it did for me.
Yeah, well, you kept it going through some lean times.
There was some tough times like they are now. They're very similar. Circumstances are different, but still it's a tough fight to find not just sponsors, but to find a spot on the PGA Tour calendar. And as we all know, professional golf is changing, not necessarily for the better in a lot of ways, but it is changing. And I think there'll be a change in the PGA Tour structure, calendar-wise and points-wise. All that's going to change over the next several years. And that makes the job more difficult now than just finding a sponsor, because you still got to find a place on the calendar. And in the fall, which is where the tournament is now, they don't even know for sure what the fall calendar is going to look like. So I'm not sure the PGA Tour can even promise a sponsor that there'll be a fall schedule must be past the next couple of years. So I just think there's some issues there that go beyond finding a sponsor. You got to find a place on the PGA Tour calendar. We'll just see how that works out. But I think there's a lot of moving parts that are challenges that I didn't have to deal with, but they're certainly there now.
Yeah, it's totally up in the air. And if I was a betting man right now, I would say the odds are, gosh, maybe even 5-1 that this is the last one, as we know it, for sure.
As we know it, what kind of iteration it can take. Because as you know, it's gone from opposite the Masters to opposite the British Open to in the fall, then back out, and then back in the fall. It's just it's taken a lot of turns, it's taken a lot of licks, and it's taken a lot of very dedicated people who kept that tournament here for that long. And I don't give up hope for sure. And certainly the people in charge are smart enough and talented enough to do everything they can. But there may be circumstances beyond their control. Who knows?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys, and you seem more well-versed in keeping a tournament alive than most. Can you tell me a little bit about, in terms of what we do have, one thing you mentioned that we do still have is dedicated people who are willing to do whatever it takes to keep the thing alive. So what do we need ideally? What could they do, and what could we do on our end? To find a sponsor, is that the answer?
That's the start.
Right.
That's a good starting place.
It's a real good place to start. And, there's nothing they can do different than what they do. This tournament is so well run, so professionally organized. so charitably strong. What they do for the Children's Hospital, what they've done for so many charities in my time, and they may still do it now. There was a time when all 82 counties, there were charities in all 82 counties benefited from this tournament financially, which is impossible to do, but that's what it does. And it has done that, did that for many, many years. That Birdies for Charity program is fantastic. So they need a sponsor. They need, you got to have a host golf course. You got to have a lot of things go your way. And then you got to have a commitment from the PGA Tour that this is a date, this is a spot in the calendar. You can depend on that. You can count on that and have a sponsor that wants to do it. Television is great. The viewership in fall golf is pretty low against football, but that's no secret to anybody. But it's still a valuable customer base that watches it. So it's still a sellable item. But there's nothing really that the tournament can do different. They can't put on a better show or host it at a better club than they do now, or do more for charity than they do now. So there's nothing really they can do. They have, to me, they're totally dependent on the commitment of a sponsor like Sanderson Farms, like Viking, like Southern Farm, like Deposit Guarantee, that wanted to do something for Mississippi and for Mississippi children.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. The benefit to the Children's Hospital is obviously enormous, and really what it's all about at the end of the day.
Well, we can put a number on it. I mean, this tournament has $14 million to the hospital and $25 million to Mississippi Charities.
Yeah, I mean those are big numbers. I mean, those are really big numbers.
Yeah, a word about Children's Hospital. I mean, Children's Hospital serves 200,000 Mississippi children a year.
I did not know that till I read your piece.
It's pretty amazing what this tournament has meant to Mississippi, and if it, I hope somebody steps in and saves it. But Randy, as well as I know, there's not very many Joe Sandersons around.
There are not, and that's unfortunate. But I just hold out hope that there is someone who wants to continue that tradition. And it's easy to say that a tournament contributes X number of dollars to whatever, but it's not. The dollars go to something specific. Like the tournament helps get to earmark some of the funds go to specific things for particular care for children. It's not just a lump of money. It may be new equipment in that hospital. It may be more staffing that skilled in a certain area that treats a certain ailment or affliction that a child may have that they don't have that person employed at that hospital. It goes to specific things to save a child's life or improve a child's life or improve the life of the family of that child. So it's very specific. It's easy to say you donate to a charity and no one knows where it goes. But in this instance, it has built many things in that hospital that has served for the care and life of children in Mississippi. And I'm not sure it's possible to replace that and for people to really understand the depth of that money that comes through this tournament, how it affects families in Mississippi.
You're dead on. And I remember for a couple years there, the emphasis was on neonatal care.
Yes.
Because the hospital didn't have the space to treat as many newborns as they had to. And,
right.
And the money from this tournament went into that and helped. Now, you should see the difference between before and after in the neonatal care unit at Children's Hospital. It's unbelievable.
It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and we should all take pride in that. And without, it's not just a big sponsor that's necessary. There's a lot of different levels of sponsorship and participation, including volunteerism, that helps guarantee the amount of money. It helps push the money along. Like there's well over 1,000 volunteers that volunteer their time for this event. But because they don't have to spend money hiring people to do that, there more money goes to those specific things in the hospital that treat specific afflictions for the children. It's an amazing thing, it's just hard to grasp how valuable that is.
Randy, can we talk just a little bit about the 4 Mississippi guys and where they are and what they need to do?
Yep, we sure can. We got Davis Riley, who is the highest ranked of our Mississippians from Hattiesburg and was a stellar junior player and also a star at Alabama. And now he's won for the second time. He won at Colonial in Fort Worth earlier this year, which is an incredible place to win a golf tournament, which speaks to the amazing ball striking ability of that guy. So he's the furthest along. Chad Ramey comes in, and he's won before, and that's been a couple of years ago, and he's 109th or 10th, I think, on the points list going into it. Hayden Buckley has been hurt some this year, so I'm not exactly sure where he stands, but I think he's got some help for next year. I think he's in good shape on that. And then Wilson Furr, of course, from Jackson, that was a star at Jackson Academy and also at Alabama. He comes in hot off a tee for 13th place finish in Napa a couple weeks ago, needing a good week. They all need to play well this week. Davis has the least amount of pressure, but I'll be honest with you, they all carry the pressure of wanting to play well here.
Yeah.
I can speak to that it's a home game. It doesn't happen very often. Rarely do you get to play a professional golf tournament in your hometown where family and friends can come see you play. And there's a fair amount of weight that goes along with that. So every single one of them are really pushing hard to have a big week. And I have no doubt all 4 of them will play well. I expect all 4 of them to be up in it and competitive all week long.
Well, I hope so. That would be great for the tournament. You're talking about the pressure you feel when you're playing basically at home. I remember talking to Jim Gallagher about that this is after he'd been a Ryder Cup hero and won buku money on the tour. But when he played here, he said there's a special kind of pressure.
It's different. It's difficult to describe, but your expectation level is high. You know the golf course, you know the restaurants. You're probably staying in a home, if not in your own home. You just feel so almost obligated to play well in front of the folks that have supported you your whole life. I think that's the better word for it. You really feel like you owe it to them to play well in front of them because they never get to do it, and they're the ones that have supported you since you were kids. That's sort of what I felt.
Yeah, obligated is the perfect word, I think.
Mm. Well, Randy, we talked about some of the bigger names in the field. I mean, I don't even think we mentioned like Charlie Hoffman. We got so many past champions. Saw Cody Gribble, Peter Malnati, Ryan Armour, Bill Haas, Cam Champ, Luke List. I mean, it goes on and on. Who do you like this week? And what kind of golfer fares the best out there at CCJ?
Well, it's hard for me to pick one, but I'll say this. Whoever hits it in the fairway the most times is going to have the best opportunity because it's a driver's golf course. You have to hit drivers a lot. The golf course is long. Even for them, it plays pretty long. And so you're going to have to drive it in the fairway, and you're going to need to do that with your driver, which really falls into a guy like Davis Riley, who is a great driver of the golf ball. And there's tons of them in the field. But I think that's what's going to separate is you got to drive it in the fairway because the rough is penalizing. It's not necessarily as brutal as I've seen it before, but it's plenty of rough to penalize you. And, of course, the greens are going to be perfect. The golf course is always literally perfectly manicured. There's no Bermuda grass greens better. But I'm betting on a guy who drives it really good 14 times a day, not 10 or 12 like they average. Somebody's got to hit all 14 fairways and they're going to make a bunch of birdies. The golf course, is just going to play great. The forecast is perfect, but somebody's going to shoot 20 under par.
That's
pretty hard to imagine.
Randy, tell folks what your normal 10 handicap golfer at the local country club would shoot playing the 75, 100-yard tournament, putting it out at that course.
I'd bet them a fair amount of money they couldn't break 110.
That's right. That's exactly.
That's just it. I mean, it's and I include putting the ropes up and putting folks out there and having some cameras around and let them see all that and feel all that pressure of people watching you do it and all those 2 and 3 footers that you pick up and say, oh, that was good. Well, they're not good. You got to put them in. And they're so fast that 2 or 3 footer that you miss is now a 5 footer coming back. So it's just incredibly difficult, the conditions that they play under every single week. And what they shoot is pretty – imagine this, Rick. It's possible that somebody could shoot 67 every day this week and not win it.
That's pretty unbelievable. One quick story. When the tournament was out in Annandale one year and the rough was really high, we had played on media day out there. My buddy Rusty Hampton and I had played, and I bet him that playing the ball down everywhere, playing from the tips, the back tees, that he couldn't break 90. And Rusty was a 3 handicap at the time, and he was a really good player.
He was.
And we go out there, and I guess the statute of limitations is over, and I can say he shot 101. He was a 3 handicap now.
See, it's unbelievable. It's hard to describe unless you go out there and do it. I remember one year, Rick, I played when I was at Annandale, and I was paired with Dickie Pride and Chris DeMarco, who were both rookies. No one really knew who they were then.
Yeah.
And one of those years where it had rained a lot and the golf course was wet and long, and I was probably in my mid-40s, and they're 22 years old. Between the two of them on the first round, they hit it in the leather 7 times with a 3-iron or longer. In the leather. Now that's inside the leather 7 times with a 3-iron or longer. And I went, well, oh boy, this game's changed a lot. These guys are really, really talented. Of course, both of them went on to be winners on the tour, and I mean, they didn't care just because it was long. They just picked another club and hit it in the leather.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty excited about this year's tournament and hope to see you out there, Randy. We're about out of time in the studio today. Guys, you got anything else?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's not the last one.
I'm really hopeful for that. I hope people will come watch it. I'm going to be out there a lot all week, pulling for the guys and pulling for the tournament. I'll be out there pulling for the tournament just as hard as I am pulling for our guys.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time, Randy, and thanks to everybody for listening in. Y'all have a safe week out there, and we'll talk to you next week.